So now we're going to do the off-ball linebackers. So this would be just the duo of the two inside linebackers for each team. And I can just give you guys the list here. So the 49ers, as we know, Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. The Cardinals are going to have Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons. Seahawks have Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks. Now, this could be KJ Wright, but they haven't signed him back yet. So we just got to go with what is available to us at this moment. And then the Rams is going to be Micah Kaiser and Kenny Young. So, Grant, with those names in mind, who do you think is the fourth best in the NFC West off-ball linebacker team?
I put the Rams at 4. Kenny Young, Mike. Who the hell are those guys? I mean, Kenny Young went to UCLA, did he not? He went to UCLA.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's not bad.
Okay, so he went to UCLA. He's great. But the other guy, Micah Kaiser, I mean, he didn't go to UCLA, so he can't be that good. No, I feel like the Rams spend on like 8 players. They have no depth, and they got to sacrifice something. I feel like this is one of the clear things they've been sacrificing is inside linebacker. They don't even try. So,
yeah,
the Rams.
I think for the most part, the Rams have been going with these undersized athletes and just protecting them with really smart run fits on defense and a really, really good defensive line in front of them. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So like they had Corey Littleton and people thought Corey Littleton was really good, and then the Raiders paid him and they were like, "Oh crap, Corey Littleton is not that good." I think Kenny Young is kind of flowing in that same boat where he's solid enough and serviceable enough, and Micah Kaiser is serviceable enough. The nice thing about the Rams is they will go to dime defenses and pack and use different DB sets and different packages to try and get different players on the field. Ebukam was one of those players that they use with that versatility. But I also have him at 4 ultimately. I mean, raw talent. I mean, there's a lot of linebacking talent in this division as well. And the Rams linebacking core is subpar, to share the least.
If you see me reach ahead and do this, I'm not like tweeting. I'm looking up stats so I can be smart. I'm really trying to do my homework, but it's like trying to do your homework during class, so I'm not that slick about it. But that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at Isaiah Simmons' numbers real quick. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Just they really have neglected this position. You think of their defense last year, and every single position besides their linebacker, their interior linebackers, you could argue was elite. Their D-line, their secondary was incredible, corners and safeties. But then you look at their linebackers, and there's something to be desired there. And I guess they just don't value them as high as other teams do. So that's just more of a philosophy thing. And, they still had the best defense in the league last year. So I guess it goes to show they didn't really need them, but their linebackers are definitely not the best, and I'd put them 4th as well.
Okay.
But 3rd, Grant, who do you got in the NFC West?
I'm gonna go Arizona here. I know they spent they have 2 first-round picks at inside linebacker, right? Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons. I mean, I didn't see much from Isaiah Simmons in the games that the Niners played him last year where I'm like, man, that's a stud inside linebacker. I know he's a great athlete, but I didn't see that. And then Zaven Collins is a rookie. I don't know. So all I know is the 2 teams ahead of the Cardinals on my list have at least 1 stud at inside linebacker. So I don't feel like they have anyone that's established himself as a Pro Bowler yet at inside linebacker. I'm going to go Arizona at 3.
We just keep agreeing, and I think we're going to agree across the board on this one too. I'm also going to go with Arizona at 3, but I'm actually going to go with different reasons. So Isaiah Simmons had a really rough start to his rookie season. Obviously, what Kyle Shanahan did to him week 1, it was well documented. The Cardinals didn't have a clue on what role to use him in. It reached an all-time low when he wasn't playing that many snaps, and then he came in and they had a cover 0 look against Seattle, and he got the pick to win the game, and you realize that was like his 2nd snap of the game, all of that. Right. But at the end of this season, they actually used him as a true middle linebacker, and I thought he actually finished the season strong. And I thought he had a better season than Jordan Brooks, and I thought he had a better season than Patrick Queen when you look at what he did at the end of the season. So I'm actually very bullish on Isaiah Simmons moving forward, especially how he finished the season. I also like Zaven Collins, especially for their defense. Now, I didn't think Zaven Collins was a perfect fit to be a 4-3 weak side or a Will or Mike linebacker, just because I don't think he was that level of athlete. But to be an inside linebacker in a 3-4, I think he's a perfect fit, especially a scheme like Vance Joseph's. So I'm actually very
bullish. Because he's getting downhill a lot?
He's downhill. He's big. He's scheme versatile. Think like a more athletic Dante Hightower. That's how I kind of view him. You can use him as a pass rusher, and Vance Joseph is prone to blitzing his linebackers, so that works. Yeah. And so I'm quite bullish actually on the Cardinals duo. I think they could be higher on this list. I think the only reason I have them under Seattle is solely because Seattle has Bobby Wagner. And if Seattle had a player a little less than Bobby Wagner, I would have Arizona too, to be honest with you.
Compelling. I haven't watched a lot of Isaiah Simmons, so sorry about that. Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I'm saying with you guys again. It's kind of hard when, I'd say 2 of the top 5 linebackers in the league are in this division, in Fred Warner and Bobby Wagner. So it kind of sets the bar high. And yeah, I think Simmons will definitely be a lot better though. Like as he fits more into the middle linebacker role, I think people forget that when he was at Clemson, one of the things with him was that he played everywhere. He could play on the D line, he could play middle linebacker, he could play safety, and he could play slot corner. And when you're mixing it up like that, you're not really mastering one thing. And I think that's kind of the issue with guys that come in as positionless is, it works if you're mastering one thing and then you can move around. But if you haven't mastered your one position yet, it kind of defeats the purpose. And I'd say that's almost the same thing that happened with Jabril Peppers, although he's a lot better now. But when he first came in the league on the Browns, he was kind of one of those jack of all trades guy. But so hopefully Simmons is figuring it out more. And yeah, he did. He was stopped getting snaps at one point in the year. And then I believe due to injuries or COVID, he started coming in more and playing a lot better. So hopefully that works. And yeah, it'll be interesting seeing like this level of athletes next to each other, because obviously both are freaks of nature, Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons. So they have a lot to look forward to. And they also have Jordan Hicks still, who we haven't mentioned, but because this is only a good player. He's also a good linebacker. So
yeah, he is. Good point. Okay, number 2. Okay, I'm going to go, because I'm such a homer, I'm going to go with Seattle here at number 2. And I'm going to think about it this way. Bobby Wagner, Jordan Brooks, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. I think Jordan Brooks is probably better than Dre Greenlaw. Jordan Brooks is a first-round pick. Dre Greenlaw is good at what he does. He runs and hits very well. He's faster than Fred Warner. He hits harder than Fred Warner. But that's his skill set. You don't want him in coverage, and really any type of coverage. Jordan Brooks, I think, has more upside than him. Fine. And I love Bobby Wagner. Hell of a career. Great career. Maybe borderline Hall of Famer. I don't know. No, but right now, yeah, absolutely. But right now, I'm taking Fred Warner, and I think by a healthy margin. I think they're in different tiers. So I'm going to go number 2, Seattle, but not by much. So it's an underrated tandem because of how good Wagner is.
Agree. I'm also going to go with Seattle too. I'm also bullish on Brooks as well. Like I just waxed poetically on how bullish I am on Isaiah Simmons after like 4 or 5 games at the end of the season. Brooks put together a solid it was an up and down rookie season, but it was a solid one nonetheless, where he showed all the reasons why they drafted him. I am bullish on how good Brooks can be, but right now I think Dre Greenlaw is just a little bit better than him. I think they're actually similar players. I just think Greenlaw is a better version of that. And I think Brooks might eventually be better, but that's not at the moment. If KJ Wright was signed, I would have Seattle 1, because I think KJ Wright was one of the most underrated players in the NFL last year. I mean, you said you have Fred Warner 1 and Bobby Wagner right there in the 2-3 conversation, but you have Fred Warner above him. I have KJ Wright somewhere in the 5 to 15 conversation for off-ball linebackers. I think he's that good. So I think that changes the entire conversation, because even though Warner's the best in the division, I would have KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner as the best duo possibly in the NFL. So since Wright is not there, to me, Brooks and Bobby Wagner are 2. And then I talked about, obviously, Bobby Wagner's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the best to ever do it. Hell of a blitzer. Maybe he's slowing down just a little bit in coverage, but his recognition is so good where when you see him play against, 49ers team, he starts to really get a grip on what's going on. He can be just a menace to deal with, diagnosing especially their run game. I've not seen a linebacker play their run game better than Bobby Wagner does every single year. And so they're definitely 2.
Also, real quick, the fact that they haven't brought back KJ Wright, given how good he is and how available he is, must show what they think of Jordan Brooks.
Or their cap situation.
Yeah, I think he wants a lot of money.
Does he? Wants a lot of money, yeah. And he's 34. He's 34.
What the hell is he thinking, man?
Did you not see this offseason? He tweeted, he's like, I'm not coming back. Because he's been the guy that's not been talked about. So he's been the guy that's been taking less money throughout this entire boom era because nobody has ever given KJ Wright the publicity he deserves. So he said this year there's no way in hell, because he's 34. This is his last payday. He said there's no way in hell I'm taking less money and doing it like that.
AJ, I hear you, man, and I'm sorry that your career worked out that way, but it's not going to happen, man. You're 34. It's not going to happen.
31. I keep saying he's 34.
Okay.
I was mixing up his age with someone else. But still, 31. 31, yeah.
31? All right, man. I give you a chance. Get that bag, baby. All right. So, number 1?
Yeah.
Blake still got to go with.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I keep doing that to you, Blake. Go ahead.
No, it's all good, Grant. I'm same with you guys. If you asked me a couple years ago, I mean, and you asked me duos just general, I'd probably have Seahawks at 1. There was no one more dominant. At least I'd say him and Kuechly have always been going back and forth, and at least since I've been watching, it's been just like Bobby Wagner 1 or Kuechly 1. Probably Kuechly 1 and Wagner 2, and it's been that way for the past decade. And it's just kind of just sat there, and it's kind of weird seeing Bobby Wagner not be, listed as the number 1 guy because he has been so dominant. And obviously, you guys mentioned in the run game, it's actually just unbelievable how much he has to cover for this Seahawks defense. He's one guy. If you remove one person from their team, obviously Russell's 1, but very close second is Bobby Wagner, just for how much value he provides. But
best linebacker I've seen since Patrick Willis.
Really? You like
do you think he's better than a prime Bowman?
Yes, I do. And that's nothing against Bowman. He's faster than Bowman. Wagner is amazing, dude. Wagner's amazing. Bowman was great too, though. But prime Bowman was 3 years. Prime Wagner is still going on. Wagner's amazing, man. And honestly, better career than Patrick Willis. Had the longevity. Got to give it up to Bobby Wagner.
Definitely.
All right, let's go on number 1.
All right, and then Brooks. Yeah, I didn't.
Go
have
ahead.
much.
My bad. Go, Blake. Yeah,
I was
go.
going to say Brooks and Greenlaw are similar to me, so I'd put Warner a tad bit. I think it's very close. I mean, if either of you guys would have said Seahawks, I would not have been able to disagree too much because they're just that close. But number 1, Grant, tell us why your 49ers got the best NFC West division linebacker duo.
Well, it comes down to Warner. Warner's special. He came into the league as a nickelback, or he was like a safety in college, and now he's this hulked up, massive middle linebacker who's also smarter than the 49ers starting quarterback. I mean, he's really unique, and he gets praised for all the right reasons. He's a leader. He's young. I don't know that he's the best linebacker in the league. I mean, I think you can make an argument with either one of those two down in Tampa Bay, but other than those two, Fred Warner's the number 1 guy, and then Dre Greenlaw. Some people think he's a total freaking stud. Other people think he's like the most overrated person of all time. It's probably a little in between. He does some things well. He has obvious weaknesses. So it's not the best duo in the league, but it's the best duo in the division.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. So I think the best duo in the league is the 2 in Tampa Bay. But I think one of the guys in Tampa Bay is not in the best linebacker league in the.
I know you're a Levante David guy, right?
Yeah, to me, the best linebacker in the NFL conversation is a 3-person conversation. It's Levante David, Eric Kendricks, and Fred Warner. And I think I would pick Fred Warner of those 3.
I just like watching Devin White hit people. It's fun. He gets a lot of momentum.
I agree with that too. Maybe it's a little homer. I mean, Fred Warner is unbelievably good. The things Fred Warner did last year, I think it's one of the great seasons for a middle linebacker we've ever seen. For them to maintain a top 5 defense was really because of 2 people. It was because of Robert Saleh and it was because of Fred Warner. Fred Warner was unbelievable against
Brett as well. Give Brett a little credit too, but sorry.
Jimmy Ward too. Jimmy Ward too. But the 2 main reasons were Robert Saleh, Fred Warner.
No question.
And Fred Warner was unbelievable. The things they put on him mentally, how good he is, the fact that he's so fast, he's so quick, his mind is so fast, he recognizes things so fast. He's improved his tackling and his hitting so much since he's come into the league. He's unbelievable in coverage. The way he takes away routes and he has an understanding of concepts. And I think zone coverage is so hard because there's times where you're in space and it's so easy to get lost in space. Warner's awareness in space is unbelievable. And
it's easy to cover grass, right? I'm just over here in a spot. Like, no, you're not doing anything. Yeah, sorry.
Right. And he has such awareness of guys behind him, in front of him. He is undoubtedly I think he's the best linebacker in the NFL. Unbelievable player. And then you go to Greenlaw. I'm with you. There's one section of the 49ers fandom that thinks Dre Greenlaw is a future all-pro player. I think that's a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
There's also some people who I respect. Right, who I respect, who say Dre Greenlaw is not a good linebacker. I also agree with that. I think Dre Greenlaw is a solid player who has clear strengths and weaknesses, but plays in a defensive scheme that mostly plays to his strengths, and he does a solid job doing his job within that scheme. Now, he might never be Fred Warner, but that's okay. This was a 5th-round pick who's fast, clean tackler, solid. When things are clear for Dre Greenlaw, when his eyes are exactly where they need to be and it's very clear for him, he can go find the ball and he can go bring the guy down. I think that's really good and solid right next to Fred Warner. They're by far, to me, the best duo. Maybe not by far, but they are. I would say there is a little gap, and they are the best in this division. And I would say they're right around there for the best in the NFL. You know, they're right in the top 5, 6 conversation. But I would say that if Flanagan Fowles was playing next to Warner or Aziz Al-Shaair was playing next to Warner, and that's nothing against Greenlaw. That just is how good I think Fred Warner is.
Or Marcel Harris, or Jaquiski Tart, or Jimmy Ward. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
Or Grant Cohn.
I don't know about that.
Grant was more of a baseball guy, so
I had some embarrassing stories from tackle football, man. I was not the toughest kid. I know, shocking. No.
Grant wasn't the middle linebacker.
No, I was the kid walking off the field after one hit. Like, you know what? My parents said I can't do this. I'm not allowed to play. I'll see you guys later. That was me.
That's
so
funny.
tough. So tough.
I'll go. Yeah, I had the same number 1 as you guys. I'm with you. Warner's a top 5 linebacker. I think there's 5 guys that kind of just move interchangeably in there that are all really special. But I think Greenlaw is honestly pretty solid too, and maybe gets a bad rap at times. Maybe, as you guys mentioned, gets talked about.
Like he's a total scrub.
Yeah. I don't mind him though. I think if he's your number 2 guy, you're doing well. Basically, is the bottom line. If he's your second best linebacker, you're not in a bad spot.
He's better than Micah Kaiser.
He probably he would be the number 1 Rams linebacker. You got that going for you. But yeah, obviously Warner's incredible, and as you guys mentioned, I think coverage for a middle linebacker is probably I'd value that a little more than run stuffing overall, just scheme wise in my mind. Being able to cover as a middle linebacker is huge, and you know, after watching the Packers for the last decade not be able to cover tight ends, watching Niners and seeing the tight end not get open every play is just like, you can cover this guy, like this can be done somehow. But yeah, no.
You still got Will Redmond covering tight ends in Green Bay?
He was a little bit last year. I forget I think we did re-sign him actually. So
that's good. Power move. Nice. Doctor's finest. Nice.
Exactly. Right. Not to get too off topic, but yeah, definitely Niners number 1. And we again had the same consensus list. I think hopefully next time we'll have a little disagreement here, but just to break it down.
I think this is still an interesting show, even though we haven't disagreed, because everyone has different reasons, and I feel like I'm learning. So I think this is the people who are watching are privileged to be here right now. I think we're being very entertaining, extremely entertaining.
So yeah, Rams 4th, Cardinals 3rd, Seahawks 2nd, 49ers 1st, but we said Niners and Seahawks almost interchangeable just due to how good Wagner and Warner are.